Before we get started, I'm just wondering by a show of hands how many certified members we have in the room. EPs, EPTs? Great, that's awesome. And some future EPs, EPTs, EP auditors, I'm sure. Okay, so to start things off, I want to introduce the certification team at Eco-Canada. So we're all here today, and we're really looking forward to connecting with you through this session, at the awards gala this evening, and at the EP member breakfast tomorrow morning. My name is Liz Getty, and I'm Director of Certification at Eco-Canada. So I oversee all of our certification programs, ensuring their success through administration, board and committee engagement, and continuous improvement. And then we have Helen Crawley. Helen, if you want to raise your hand or stand. Helen is our team lead, and if you're an EP member, you probably know Helen, at least by name, and now you get to meet her in the flesh, so there you go. Helen leads everything post-certification, so that would include annual maintenance and its requirements, our EP community initiatives, and our mentorship program, to name a few. She's also been instrumental in growing our EP events through chapters and with our EP Champion program. And there's Colleen Mahoney. Colleen is our certification coordinator, and she plays a key role in guiding new applicants through the certification process. She manages inquiries, supports applicant processing, and works closely with employers and post-secondary institutions to promote the benefits of certification. Her efforts have been pivotal in expanding our EPT student program. And having been with Eco-Canada for several years now, I've really witnessed a lot of growth within our certification programs and with the organization as a whole. And it's always exciting to kind of look back and see just how far we've come. Our team has also evolved a lot over that time, and I'm really grateful to work alongside a dedicated group committed to strengthening and expanding Eco-Canada's designations. So over the past 2 decades, Eco-Canada's certification programs have evolved significantly to reflect the changing needs of the environmental sector. So let's take a look at some of the key milestones in this journey. So we certified our first EP back in 2001, marking the official start of the EP designation. Just a few years later, in 2004, we updated the National Occupational Standards, ensuring that the required competencies of environmental professionals remained current and aligned with industry needs. This same year, we also expanded our certification offerings by introducing the EP auditor designations, recognizing professionals specializing in compliance and environmental management systems auditing. By 2005, we reached our first major milestone, which was certifying our 1,000th member. And then from there, the designation really just continued to grow and adapt. In 2010, we introduced the environmental manager specialization, and that was really introduced as a way to reflect evolving career paths of environmental professionals while recognizing leadership and management skills as well as technical skills. That same year, we unified our certification structure under the EP umbrella, rebranding former designations into the system that we know today. As new sectors emerged, we continued to refine and expand our offerings as well. So in 2013, we had launched the energy and sustainability specializations, again, aligning with industry trends and requirements. And then in 2015, we initiated what we had called internally an EP 2.0, which was essentially a nearly four-year program improvement initiative, and that was aimed at strengthening our certification program. So seeing how the EP lined up with standards in terms of rigor, compliance, and accessibility. And then beyond certification, we wanted to recognize the impact of our members. So that's when we created the Eco Impact Awards. And that was to celebrate their achievements in the sector. And I think it started as a luncheon with 70 people and a couple of awards thrown out there. And it's kind of grown over the years to what you see today. Our efforts to strengthen the profession continued in 2019 with the creation of the EP National Task Force, which some of you might be aware of, but was essentially to look into opportunities for regulatory recognition and right to practice for environmental professionals in Canada. In 2020, some more program improvements in terms of EP body knowledge and exam, our EP employer designation. And then in 2021, we celebrated 20 years of certifying EPs. Just a couple years ago in 2023, we expanded our reach even further by introducing the EPT student membership. So this is a membership for students enrolled in Canadian post-secondary education that offered career building resources for free. And then just last year, we took another leap forward with the launch of our Blue Economy designations, further solidifying that commitment to supporting environmental professionals across Canada. I think that this timeline really reflects the continuous growth and evolution of the EP designation, and making sure that it remains relevant, valuable, and reflective of the ever-changing landscape. So with your engagement, with your contributions as certified members or hopefully future certified members, we're really looking forward to kind of shaping that next chapter together. So before we dive into key developments from the past year, I just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the designations that are offered by Eco-Canada. So as you can see on the slide, our designations span both the environmental industry and the blue economy, which would include ocean and marine sectors. We'll discuss our new blue economy designations shortly in more detail, but their creation was essentially a natural next step, so addressing a growing need for skill recognition in an ever-evolving sector. And many of you are likely familiar with the designations there on the left, our environmental professional in training, our EP auditor designations, EP CEA for compliance environmental auditing, and our EP EMSLA for environmental management systems lead auditing. So I'm not going to go into further detail on the certification process and requirements. You all are familiar with them, or you can chat with us over the break or afterwards. And I'm sure that if there's a certified member here to share their expertise, we're going to hear from a couple of them as well. They'd love to answer your questions. So feel free to connect with anybody during networking portion. So the big part of this presentation from my perspective and where I'm involved is to update you on a little bit of what's going on at Eco-Canada. So if you're a certified member, you know that we release an annual member report every year. That 2024 edition will come out in June, I think, right, Helen? And so in the meantime, we wanted to kind of bring you a little bit of a live version of that report, just a quick update on what's been going on. So we'll highlight some key achievements and some upcoming initiatives we think that you'll find interesting, hopefully. So we'll start by taking a look at just some of the quick metrics of the certification program. So taking certification metrics, or tracking them rather, is really essential for us to understand the growth and impact of all of our designations. These insights help evaluate program performance, identify areas for improvement, and ensure we continue meeting industry needs. So at Eco-Canada, we value transparency. Sharing this data with our members really enforces our commitment to maintaining high standards, supporting professional development, and strengthening the value of certification. So as shown on the slide, we welcomed over 330 new EPT student members last year. And as I mentioned, Colleen manages this member group exclusively, and we really do see a lot of value in the student-based membership. So not only does it provide these students with career-building resources, connections, opportunities for mentorship, but it also allows us to gather feedback on how we can enhance our EPT student membership program. Right? It allows us to connect with academics and students alike to figure out how Eco-Canada can support their career development. And interestingly, about half of the EPT students come from one of Eco-Canada's 45 accredited post-secondary programs. And I think all in all, the success that we're seeing with the EPT student program, while we've just kind of scratched the surface of post-secondary students in Canada that are enrolled in environmental programs, but I think the interest there really shows that there is a really strong pipeline from education to certification. Our certification program's also been very busy over the last year with 450 new applicants, so that keeps Colleen in particular very occupied. And while our application portal streamlines a lot of that, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes to kind of pull it off. We also welcomed almost 400 new members last year and maintained a strong overall retention rate of 81%. So our annual renewal period, as you know, runs from April to June. And just in particular to mention, our EP level members, so those are our EPs, EP CEA and EP EMSLA members, continue to show exceptionally high retention rates. So that's pretty much the norm. It's been higher, it's been a little bit lower, but it fluctuates a little bit. But the one designation level that does fluctuate the most is the EPT, the Environmental Professional in Training. It's a little bit lower than I think what we anticipated last year, but it's also entirely normal for that number to fluctuate. We often get feedback from EPTs that, they are early career professionals. They've moved to a different organization or a different sector entirely where that designation may no longer be relevant to them. So it's why we also focus heavily on EPT acquisition efforts, ensuring strong annual enrollment numbers to mitigate that membership loss or that potential membership loss. So right now, our membership sits just over actually 3,200 with our recent approvals yesterday. And about 100 of our members hold more than one designation. And if we look at the regional distribution of our membership, we have certified members in every province and territory across Canada, some internationally as well. I'm sure more internationally to come this year. But Alberta, BC, and Ontario do continue to be the 3 main provinces for our certified members. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we're always looking to update our certification and our specialization. So we want to make sure that we remain relevant to industry needs, or the designation does. One key area integrated into the National Occupational Standards last year was impact assessment, or IA. With growing global awareness of human impact on the environment, impact assessment professionals play a critical role in evaluating and mitigating those effects. They coordinate complex activities, they collaborate with subject matter experts, and they navigate the regulatory process. Their duties can vary depending on where they work, whether it's industry or government, but all impact assessment professionals do require specialized competencies to operate within the framework of an impact assessment. So to recognize these roles, we now offer 2 impact assessment related specializations under certification. The first is the impact assessment practitioner. These professionals lead consulting teams. They integrate technical data. They're engaging with stakeholders to predict and mitigate project impacts. Their goal is to deliver objective, scientifically sound assessments while ensuring compliance with regulatory standards, balancing diverse perspectives. Next is the impact assessment reviewer. So they typically work for regulatory bodies, and these professionals assess impact assessment submissions for completeness, impartiality, and also scientific accuracy. Their role is to ensure assessments meet regulatory requirements while balancing thorough evaluation with timely decision-making to safeguard public interests. These specializations reflect the evolving need of the environmental sector and provide clear recognition for professionals contributing to responsible and sustainable decision-making. Okay, so with regards to some of the EP chapter and community initiatives, there are some things that I felt were important to share with you today. Mentioned it sort of earlier, but didn't really call it out too much, but just a reminder that if you are designated, your renewal fee is coming up. We did introduce an auto pay option, so you could, if you wanted to, save your credit card information to your account. One less thing to think about when it's April 1st rolls around. Second is our EP mentorship program. Just out of curiosity, did anybody here participate in the mentorship sessions earlier? 1, and good. 2, 3, yeah, great. So we have an EP mentorship program, and as I mentioned earlier, we have over 3,200 designated professionals, and last year we matched 215 participants in mentorship. It's a small number when you consider the membership number, right? So a large focus this year will hopefully to get more individuals engaged. We do get a lot of great feedback on the mentorship program, which I'm sure Helen can attest to. I think it's just being maybe a little bit more communicative of the opportunity and just encouraging members to seek out that mentorship, right? Either for themselves or if you're able to and interested, become a mentor for somebody else as well, contribute your time, give back to the community. It's always a great way to build your network, your career, and as I said, give back to that profession, and mentorship can be a lifelong thing, right? Next, I want to mention just how proud we are of the chapter and community growth that we've seen over the last year, maybe year and a half. Many of you remember the Eco Canada Roadshow or Eco Canada Tour. Did anybody go to any of those networking events or meetups? All right. But those really provided a lot of opportunity for members of our team, in particular Helen, and our members to travel, to meet up, to make those connections, and certainly for other members of EcoCanada staff as well to interact with members. And it helped us to build regional chapters and also recruit and meet our EP champions. Any EP champions in the room? So if you're not aware, an EP champion is somebody who is certified with us, and they're enthusiastic about lending their time, their voice, their knowledge, their network on behalf of EcoCanada to help with the growth, development, and recognition of EP across the country. And then the last point that I really want to talk about, it's an important one, but this is a significant step forward for environmental professionals in BC, and talk a little bit about what that can mean for the future of our profession across Canada. So, as you may know, EcoCanada had formally submitted an application to the BC Office of the Superintendent of Professional Governance, that's a mouthful, to have EPs included in right to practice opportunities within the province. So late last year, we submitted an amendment to our application just to provide more information in support of that initial application. So why does right to practice matter? Why do we all care about it? Right to practice really ensures that only qualified professionals can perform specific environmental work that directly impacts public safety, environmental integrity, and regulatory compliance. So currently, in many jurisdictions, environmental work is performed without a clear requirement for professional credentials, which can lead to inconsistencies in standards and accountability. That's not always the case, but that's sometimes the risk, right? So by securing right to practice for EPs, we're not only raising the professional standards for environmental work, but we're also ensuring that individuals with verified skills, knowledge, and ethical commitments are at the forefront of decision making. So this recognition in particular would obviously strengthen the credibility of the EP designation, EP members, ensure that environmental work meets the highest standard of quality and accountability. We have an excellent group of environmental professionals, highly qualified individuals to do that work. It can provide greater career security and mobility for EPs. It can support businesses, government, industries in meeting sustainability and regulatory goals. So in terms of how we move forward from here, we recognize that achieving right to practice is a long and complex process. The BC government must first carefully assess our application. They need to determine if EPs fit within the existing regulatory framework. What gap do EPs fill within the potential regulatory framework? And this is not something that's going to happen overnight, but it's necessary and it's a strategic step for the profession and for the designation. And it's not just about British Columbia. That is kind of where a lot of the activity and opportunity is at the moment. But we do really believe at EcoCanada that advocating for right to practice across the country is necessary. Environmental work is critical, and as challenges related to climate change, conservation, sustainability grow, the need for qualified professionals has really never been greater. So we aim to build momentum and similar recognition across other provinces and territories in Canada. So as an EP, there are ways that you can help. I think EP support is crucial in making this vision a reality. So we always encourage all of our EPs to stay informed on the latest updates, sharing that within your network, engaging with policymakers or industry leaders, participating in advocacy efforts if they happen to arise. And if you have connections within government, industry, or regulatory bodies, we certainly welcome your insights and collaboration. Every voice will strengthen the case. EcoCanada is committed to championing this effort, but real change happens when the EP community comes together to push for that recognition and the professionalization of our field. So we'll talk a little bit about our new designations. So as industries evolve, it's crucial that professional certifications keep pace, ensuring that individuals that are working in emerging sectors have the recognition and support that they need. I think the blue economy is one of those sectors. It's an emerging global movement, the blue economy, focused on the sustainable use of ocean resources to drive economic growth, improve livelihoods, and maintain the health of marine ecosystems. So So from marine renewable energy to sustainable fisheries, the blue economy really does span a wide range of industries. And at EcoCanada, as we expanded our research and engagement in this space, we really felt that, it was clear that there's growing support needed for professionals that work within the blue economy, not only to validate that expertise that they have, but also to highlight their commitment to sustainability. So this is really where the SBEP, the Sustainable Blue Economy Professional, comes in. It's designed to equip professionals with the skills and knowledge they need to lead in this evolving sector. The SBEP designations recognize individuals who are committed to, as I said, advancing sustainability, driving innovation, and ensuring responsible stewardship in ocean-related industries. And I think that, EcoCanada is well prepared to lead this effort as well. We have decades of experience in developing industry-recognized and credible designations. I think we have a good grasp on the framework. And we understand what it takes to align those professional standards with industry needs, being with our focus in workforce development. So the SBEP designation really ensures that as the blue economy grows, there can be a trusted framework to support and elevate professionals that are shaping its future. The designation itself doesn't just recognize expertise of the individual, but there can be benefits to employers as well. So for employers, it can help in the hiring process, right? We know that finding that right candidate can be a challenge. So the SBEP can help by potentially lowering the risk of hiring an unqualified person, in much in the same way that hiring an EP and an EPT and an EP auditor can do the exact same. Clarifying experience with education can make it easier to assess candidates and compare qualifications from one applicant to another. It can also reduce onboarding and training costs, given that certified professionals have already proven that they have expertise in that particular area. They have the necessary technical and soft skills. And then for professionals, it obviously offers a lot of opportunity to advance their career. So gaining that national recognition for their skills and experience, again, transferable skills can make you really attractive to potential employers, and then expanding the network, right? Connecting with industry. Ultimately, I think, these designations really serve as a really good benchmark for excellence, creating value for both employers and professionals while driving sustainability, innovation, and responsible stewardship in ocean-related industries. So the first step towards creating these suite of designations was EcoCanada's research and establishment of the National Occupational Standards for the Blue Economy, or the Blue NOS, that was done a few years ago. Or 3 years ago, I believe. Within these standards, 6 key subsectors had emerged: offshore minerals and resources, ocean technology, marine transport, ports and shipping, marine renewables, fisheries and aquaculture, and coastal and marine tourism. So this is certainly not an exhaustive list of the sectors within the blue economy, but these were the top ones identified within the Blue NOS that we had integrated into the development of the SBEP designations. So ECO has really worked to develop opportunity for blue economy sector professionals to advance their career with our designations. So whether they might be a seasoned professional, an early career professional, a new graduate, they have the choice of 3 designations. So the SBEP Specialized, the SBEP, and the SBEPT, which are all designed to recognize expertise. So we created 3 different designations for blue economy professionals. So first is the Sustainable Blue Economy Professional in Training, or the SBEPT. So very similar to EPT in the sense that, it's ideal for new graduates, early career professionals, anyone with less than 5 years of relevant work experience within the blue economy. Next, you could choose the SBEP, which is for professionals with 5+ years of work experience with a minimum of 2 years in the blue economy. And then lastly is the SBEP Specialized. So this is the only designation that offers specialization in the 6 areas that I had mentioned on the previous slide there. And these professionals need 5 or more years of work experience in at least one of the 6 areas within the blue economy. So they need to be able to demonstrate that experience. So as we look ahead, we're really committed to strengthening and expanding our designations to meet the needs of professionals in the industry. So I want to share some key areas of focus that will drive our growth and impact over the coming months. So these are the things to come. I think one of our top priorities is really expanding the SBEP designation. So we did launch this already. We do have applicants. Things are happening. But we recognize that this is still a designation, or suite of designations rather, that are still in development. There's still some work to do. There's still consultation with industry, post-secondary, Indigenous communities, et cetera, to do. So that's something that we'll be heavily involved in over the next year. Which will be great. We want to expand the designation. We know that the blue economy is evolving at a rapid rate, and we need a workforce that is recognized for their expertise. I also believe that a strong professional community is really essential for the long-term success of the EP designation. We're focused on growing local EP chapters to provide networking and knowledge sharing opportunities. And we also want EPs to have a voice in shaping the designation and fostering connections across regions. We also see great need in growing our membership, our mid to senior level membership specifically. So that's our EPs and our EP auditor members. Our designations are valuable, obviously, at every career stage, but there's tremendous opportunity to grow that mid to senior level membership. The mid to senior level adds credibility to the designation. They bring expertise, leadership, and they can really be change makers within the industry as well. And those are always individuals that we love to be closely aligned with and gain expertise from. So we're really trying to enhance our outreach and showcase the benefits of experienced professionals within the sector. One of the things that I think we don't talk about enough at EcoCanada and that we can do better is communicating more opportunities for EPs. There's, as you know, being a not-for-profit, having to bid for certain projects, there's often times where we need subject matter experts, and we try to narrow it down, and we work with Helen and we work with Colleen and other project managers across the organization to identify potential EPs that can help and support. But I also think it's important to advertise that as a benefit, right? It might just be a volunteer position as a subject matter expert. Oftentimes it's a paid position as well. So there's definitely professional opportunities that can come out of being an EP. All right, this leads me to sort of the last point, and it's around strengthening industry partnerships. So a key priority is strengthening these relationships, continuing to work with different industry partners and organizations. By working closely with employers, associations, regulatory bodies, we can really ensure that our designations remain relevant and highly valued. I think that, these collaborations can open up new career opportunities for certified professionals, and this coming year is filled with opportunities to expand and elevate our designations as well. Through strategic growth, community building, and industry partnerships, we can really strengthen our impact and create lasting value for environmental professionals. So thank you to everybody who's been a part of this journey, and I really look forward to your insights and collaboration as we move forward. So I wanted to highlight today two organizations that I and ECO are excited to be working closely with. They're organizations that we've worked with in the past and are now kind of formalizing ways to work with each other moving forward with some shared goals. These are two organizations that are helping shape the future of environmental designations, both in Canada and internationally. So first, we're really excited to collaborate with the Auditing Association of Canada and the AAC to ensure the continued provision of professional designation services for environmental auditors. This partnership is going to help to maintain high standards and support professionals in this critical field. And it's a relationship, as I mentioned on an earlier slide, that we've had since 2004, and we look forward to strengthening as we move ahead in 2025. We're also working again with the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute, or GHGMI, to develop new designations for GHG quantifiers and verifiers. And again, this does present a lot of opportunities within Canada and also internationally with GHGMI's connections on an international scale. So we have a couple guest speakers planned before our break here. So to share more about these organizations, please join me in welcoming Michael Harold from the Auditing Association of Canada. Michael, would you like to come up? Michael is a CRSP, EPCEA, and an EPEMSLA. He's worked as an environmental health and safety consultant for over 34 years, and his experience is leading primarily in leading and participating in hundreds of environmental health and safety audits and management system assessments worldwide. He's worked for many industries and several federal government agencies. He's a core auditor for two partner groups in BC, a verifier for the Green Marine Environmental Certification Program, and he's currently helping Metro Vancouver Water Services implement an ISO 14001 environmental management system. And Michael is also the president of the Auditing Association of Canada. Please.
Thanks, Liz.
Yep. Oh, my bad. Are you okay to handle that?
Yep. Okay. I'll do that. Well, thanks for that. It's a lot more information than I had known before, so I'm happy to hear about the exciting things that you guys are doing. I was just asked to give a little history of the Auditing Association of Canada and the relationship we've had with Echo Canada. And I got to stop wearing that tie anyway. So the Auditing Association of Canada used to be called the Canadian Environmental Auditing Association, CEAA. And then we were established in 1991, and we rebranded in about 96, I guess, to include other types of auditing. We didn't want to get just caught up in the environmental auditing field, so we thought we could get into perhaps health and safety auditing, maybe quality auditing, maybe financial auditing, but anyway, we were going to be a sort of the one-stop shop for auditors in Canada. And so that's sort of why we changed our name to the AAC. We established the CEA and the EMSLA designation. We had a group of people who were administrating the program for us, which involved reviewing applications when they first came in, administering the exam, marking the exam, issuing the certificates, following up on professional development activities afterwards, and issuing or reissuing certificates after that. It became a bit of a burden for our association to handle this because, again, we're a volunteer organization. Nobody is paid at the AAC. Our board, some of the people on our board of directors, I have to admit, I think are just on the board to get the points for their professional development, and they don't really volunteer for stuff, which is kind of frustrating. And again, I've been the president for about a year and a half now, and we're really trying to recruit new members with a board that's kind of difficult to deal with sometimes. But what we ended up doing is outsourcing the CEA and the EMSLA certificate program to Echo Canada because they already had a good process to certify individuals, and we just wanted to get out of the certification business and more into sort of the member services type of organization where we would provide training and information and webinars and things like that for our membership. So Echo Canada in 2004 was handed over the designation. At that time, there was a requirement for people to be both a member of the Auditing Association of Canada as well as Echo Canada, but that since has not been a requirement. And we were asked as sort of the developer of the EMSLA and CEA designations to still be involved in the body of skills and knowledge required to be environmental auditor. So there was a working group that was put together to help with that. It was before I was on the board, but I think the pandemic kind of killed that a little bit because it was very hard to audit during the pandemic. I don't know if you guys ever had a thought of like, how do these auditors get to the sites and everything when you're not supposed to fly and you're not supposed to see people? So we adapted, and there were ways to get around it, but the pandemic sort of was it did impact our association. So we're going to try to renew that relationship with Echo Canada through the working group, CCAB. Again, that will help both organizations grow, I think. And the big thing about these designations is, again, the branding and the knowledge that people have where they're requesting these kind of individuals to work on projects that they want done in their facility. So yeah, again, growing the brand, growing the recognition. I think both organizations can benefit from that. So that's really all I had to say. And with that, I will introduce Katie, who I just met from Los Angeles. And I grew up in Los Angeles, not far from where she lives, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, she's going to talk about the greenhouse gas designations that they're trying to partner with Echo Canada on.
Great, thank you, Michael. We really appreciate you coming out to Eco Impact and speaking at the session today, and looking forward to our meetings later this week and strengthening that partnership. So our next speaker is Katie Goldman, as Michael mentioned, from the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute. Katie's been a climate change professional for over 20 years, working in nonprofit leadership, federal and local government, and as an independent consultant. Her expertise includes climate mitigation planning, greenhouse gas inventory development, carbon offset policy and protocol development, and teaching and capacity building. Her accomplishments include leading the development of the City of LA's Climate Action and Sustainability Plan, methodologies for assessing policy impacts on GHG emissions under the Initiative for Climate Action Transparency, and online training courses for GHG accounting based on the IPCC guidelines. Catherine's a lead author of the 2003 IPCC Good Practice Guidance for land use change and forestry, and the 2006 IPCC Guidelines for National Inventories. She's currently the Secretary of the GHGMI Board of Directors as well, so please join me in welcoming Katie.
Thanks for that, Liz. I'm really happy to be here today and get a chance to talk to you about an exciting partnership between GHGMI and Eco Canada. And I feel like this session is really flowing perfectly to this point, so I really appreciate that. So what I want to do is introduce you to my organization, the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute, and then talk to you a little bit more about this new partnership. And I think I need to push that. So we are a nonprofit organization. We've been around almost as long as Eco Canada. I was looking at the timeline and thinking if I put a timeline up, it'd be kind of similar in terms of growth and trajectory. So our core mission is to develop a professional cadre of experts that are highly trained, skilled, and credible in carbon management and accounting. I think that this desire to make sure there's a well-trained workforce is an area that we really share deeply with Eco Canada. We're focused on carbon accounting and carbon management. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we do that and our sort of theory of change. We provide capacity building. I think the slide says above average capacity building. I didn't write that, but I think that's probably true. We provide capacity building to individuals and organizations. We work with governments and countries to help them develop their systems for reporting on greenhouse gas emissions, both just for whatever their needs are, but primarily for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change or the Paris Agreement reporting requirements. The theory is if we work deeply in capacity building, that'll improve the quality of carbon management and lead to a wider impact on climate change. And so everybody's, of course, deeply concerned and care about having an impact in that area. We do this in a lot of ways. We provide several online training courses. I brought a brochure. If at the end of this you're interested in learning more about our courses, there's a QR code that will take you to a website with more details on the courses we offer. We offer a number of training courses. They're technical, they're detailed, they're comprehensive, they're difficult. You take a test at the end and you receive a certificate of completion. So it's a challenging curriculum. We also, as I said before, work with governments, we work with other institutions. We also try to lead on knowledge and research in the field. So along those lines, we manage a journal that publishes research in carbon management. So if you're curious about, what is this carbon management field, I encourage you to check out the journal. I think it's the only of its kind. So to tell you a little bit more about, our impact so far, we, let me get that slide up here. So like I said before, we offer a number of online courses, 16 courses. I've written personally a number of them. They range from like project accounting or carbon offsets to developing inventories for governments or corporations. We have, need my glasses. Partnerships with a number of countries and a pretty extensive membership base at this point, over 12,000 members. And they span, it's a global membership. I think we have members in our network in 188 countries in the world. So, we're trying to really have a global reach. And we also work with, we've actually started up a couple institutions that are centers of knowledge transfer, and capacity building. We have one in the Caribbean region, one in Central Asia, and another in Central America. So by using a hub model, we're able to reach more people more efficiently. And the people in those regions are able to access resources and expertise from a centralized space. So that's a little bit about the organization, what we do, our reach, our goals, how we do our job. But I'm really here to tell you about this exciting relationship we have with EcoCanada to begin to launch or develop and then launch a new certification, a new professional designation in greenhouse gas management. The exciting thing about this is we think it's going to help individuals demonstrate their competencies in a competitive workforce marketplace. It'll also help organizations identify a skilled person, and I think you did a great job earlier, Liz, in laying out why that's important and how you can avoid hiring people who aren't qualified, for example. I think we've been doing this work for a long time, but it is time to make that a designation, a certification that's really recognizable to others. And then finally, something I think that's really important about this is it provides people and organizations with a clear pathway for how to continue to develop their knowledge and how to network, and even the mentorship opportunities as well could really help GHGMI with our mission and help EcoCanada with theirs. So if this sounds familiar to you at all, the ECO or the EPGHG, it's because in all honesty, it's not brand new. We, in 2011, I think we were a little bit early or premature. We launched this designation then. There wasn't as much demand as we'd hoped for, but we're pretty sure the demand is there now. Things have changed a lot, and there's a lot more awareness. There's more sustainability reporting and carbon disclosure happening, and there's really a need to be able to separate the credentialed and credible and ethical workforce in this space. And so that's why we're motivated to relaunch this effort. So in the next 6 months or so, or hopefully even faster than that, we're revisiting the old program. We're updating it to make sure that it's reflecting knowledge, competencies, and requirements for today. And we're going to talk to as many people as we can. And so I'd like to hear if you have thoughts or input on how we should improve the program or what competencies and skills we should be focused on. I'd love to hear that from you. And I guess stay tuned because we'll keep talking about this, and at some point it will hopefully be available to those of you in the room who are looking for further certifications and designations. I think that was all I had, so thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Katie, and educating us a little bit more about the work at GHGMI and of course our future partnership with the designation. We're gonna take about a 10-15 minute break right now. Please use this time to network with each other. If you have any questions from our presenters or any certification staff, that's what we're here for. And when we come back, we'll hear from more of our EPs and EPTs. We'll have a presentation, we'll have a panel moderated by Colleen. So please join us back here in about 10 minutes or so. Thank you.